comics don't start with drawing, they start with an idea. Stan Lee once said that every great story begins with a simple idea. And that's where comics truly begin, not with perfect art, not with flawless writing, but with a spark. For Eiichiro Oda, that spark was the dream of creating the ultimate adventure. For Naoko Takeuchi, it was wanting to show girls they could be powerful and magical at the same time. For Jack Kirby, it was the thrill of imagining worlds bigger than life. The one thing that each one of these people have in common is that very creator starts by asking one question. What do I want to say? Every comic book, whether it's Marvel, DC, manga, or indie, they all follow the same core pipeline. Even if the tools or style changes, the process stays mostly the same. Today, I'm breaking down how comic books are made from start to finish, and how Western creators and mangaka use the same steps differently. Before anything else, before characters, before world building, before scripts, every creator starts by asking a few simple questions. Who is this story about? What do the characters want? What's stopping them? Stan Lee often began with nothing more than a rough idea and a problem to explore. What if a teenager had superpowers, but real problems? That single question became Spider-Man. Out of necessity, Lee developed what's now known as the Marvel method. In the 1960s, Marvel had a tiny staff and an enormous workload, with Lee and a handful of writers producing nearly every book. Lee would provide artists with loose plot outlines, the artist would draw the pages, and Lee would then add dialogue, captions, and sound effects afterward. The method grew from practical constraints, but it ended up shaping the look, pacing, and voice of Marvel storytelling. Eiichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, takes almost the opposite approach. He plans major arcs years in advance, building his stories around simple emotional cores, dreams, friendship, freedom. While he improvises details along the way, the big picture is tightly structured and carefully controlled. Some creators, like Akira Toriyama, start with character design instead. Personality comes first, and the story grows out of it. Toriyama's process is famously loose and spontaneous, often driven by whatever feels fun or interesting at the moment. He's said many times that he prefers to draw a character first, then discover who they are and what kind of story they belong in. Others, like Brian Michael Bendis, begin with dialogue, letting voices shape the world. His approach represents a different tradition altogether, a Western, full-script method with a heavy emphasis on naturalistic, character-defining conversation. There's no single right way to begin a comic, but every approach shares the same foundation, a clear sense of who the story follows, what they want, and what stands in their way. Once those fundamentals are in place, the next step is turning that idea into a structured plan, and that's where scripting and page breakdowns begin. This is the stage where the planning truly begins. Scripts, outlines, and small, rough sketches called thumbnails all start taking shape here. It can look messy and chaotic from the outside, but it's one of the most important steps in the entire process. During this phase, the writer and editor work together to outline the chapter or issue. They decide what happens, in what order, and why. Once the major story beats are approved, the page count is locked in and deadlines are set. From this point forward, everyone knows exactly what they're working toward. This planning stage exists to keep the entire production on track. Big studios can't afford to rewrite chapters halfway through because so many different teams rely on a stable plan to do their work. And once that plan is locked in, it becomes the roadmap every department follows, from the writers and artists all the way to the people preparing the final files for print. In Western comics, companies like Marvel and DC rely on strict editorial oversight to keep their shared universes consistent. Editors make sure each story fits the larger continuity and aligns with other titles being produced at the same time. In Japan, Shonen Jump editors work closely with mangaka in a different way, often helping shape pacing, refine jokes, and guide character arcs. In both systems, this level of oversight exists for the same reason. Dozens of people working for them depend on a stable plan. When a story changes too late, it disrupts every department that follows, and the entire production schedule can collapse. All of this editorial coordination creates the stability the rest of the production pipeline depends on. Once the outline is approved, the continuity checks are done, and the schedule is locked, the story finally has a reliable structure to build on. With that foundation in place, the next stage begins, turning the approved plan into a script that breaks the story into pages, panels, pacing, and dialogue. Scripting is the stage where comics begin to separate from novels and movies. A comic script is built visually from the start. Instead of long paragraphs or camera directions, it's organized into pages, panels, and dialogue. Before any final artwork is created, these pages are planned at a much smaller scale. These rough layouts are called thumbnails, and they help the creator test how the story will flow on the page. Thumbnails answer essential questions. Where does the reader's eye go first? How the action moves from panel to panel. Whether the page reads clearly and makes sense at a glance. Scott McCloud describes this as sequential art storytelling that happens not only in the drawings, but in the transitions between them. Scripting also defines the story's structure, laying out what characters say, how information is revealed, and how each scene transitions to the next. By breaking the narrative into pages and panels, the script creates a clear layout the artist can follow, defining where moments land, how the eye travels, and how the rhythm of the story takes shape. Comics rely on the interaction between words and images, and scripting is the step that organizes those pieces so the artwork can bring the story to life. With the script and thumbnails in place, the story finally has a clear visual plan. Every scene, line of dialogue, and panel transition is mapped out well enough for the art team to begin building the actual pages. That's when the process moves into its next major phase, penciling, where the rough ideas from the script become fully realized drawings. Penciling is the stage where the comic finally starts to look like a comic. It lays the foundation for every phase that follows. At this point, artists produce clean, readable pencils. Characters, backgrounds, and action are fully defined, but there's still no shading, tones, or effects. The goal is clarity, a blueprint the rest of the team can build on. In Western comics, penciling is often a dedicated job. The penciler is responsible for turning the script into a complete visual layout, creating a detailed guide for inkers and colorists to follow. In manga studios, the process is structured differently. The lead artist handles the key panels, the faces, the action shots, the emotional moments, while assistants take on simpler or repetitive frames. This division of labor keeps weekly deadlines possible. Many artists describe penciling as the heavy lifting stage. This is where the story becomes visible, where the world gains weight, and where characters finally stand up and breathe on the page. It's not glamorous work. It's hours of focus, discipline, and problem solving. But it's also the moment when the magic becomes tangible, giving the rest of the production team a solid visual foundation to build on as the pages move into the next phase. Background artists are the specialists who bring the world of the comic to life. They handle the buildings, interiors, vehicles, landscapes, and every environment the characters move through. To keep everything consistent, they rely on tools like 3D models, photo reference, and perspective grids. Backgrounds take an enormous amount of time to draw, which is why this work is often split among multiple assistants. Dividing the workload keeps the production schedule moving and ensures the world feels solid and believable. In many manga studios, including those behind series like Attack on Titan and Blue Exorcist, entire teams exist solely to draw backgrounds. Their job is to make the setting feel real, grounded, and lived in, giving the characters a world that supports the story instead of fading into the margins. Inking is the stage where the artwork gains its final, intentional shape. Inkers go over the penciled pages with clean, confident lines, strengthening the forms and removing the roughness of the sketch. They add line weight to show depth, shadows to define mood, textures to suggest materials, and speed lines to emphasize motion. These choices give the page clarity and impact, turning loose pencils into artwork that feels crisp, bold, and ready for print. In Western comics, inking is often a celebrated specialty. Many inkers are known for their distinctive style, and their interpretation of the pencils can dramatically influence the final look of a book. In manga studios, the workflow is different. Assistants typically handle much of the inking under the creator's supervision, ensuring the final lines stay consistent with the series' established style and pace. Inking is where the artwork becomes truly readable. It locks in the shapes, defines the energy of each panel, and prepares the pages for the next layer of visual storytelling, the tones and colors that bring atmosphere, emotion, and depth to the world. Once the inks are finalized, the pages move to the artists responsible for tones or colors. This is where the atmosphere enters the artwork. Toning adds depth, lighting, and emotion through grayscale patterns, gradients, and effects. Coloring introduces full palettes that define the mood of each scene. Warm tones for comfort, cold tones for tension, saturated colors for action, muted palettes for drama. These choices guide the reader's eye, highlight important moments, and reinforce the energy of the storytelling. A well-placed shadow can shift the tone of a scene. A burst of color can emphasize impact. Even subtle gradients can change how a character feels on the page. In manga, toning is a specialized craft. Assistants apply screen tones, textures, and lighting effects using digital tools or traditional adhesive sheet. This work is meticulous and time-consuming, but it gives manga its signature depth and rhythm. In Western comics, colorists play a similarly crucial role. Their palettes can define an entire series, and many are celebrated for their distinctive style and storytelling instincts. Toning and coloring transform the artwork from clean line work into a fully realized visual experience. Once the mood, lighting, and atmosphere are in place, the pages are ready for the final stage of production, the lettering that brings the dialogue, sound effects, and narrative voice onto the page. Lettering is the stage where the comic finally gains its voice. This is where speech balloons, captions, sound effects, and text flow are placed onto the page. A good letterer doesn't just add words, they shape how the story is read. Effective lettering guides the reader's eye, controls timing, and sets the rhythm of the dialogue. The placement of a balloon can speed up a moment, slow it down, or change the emotional tone of a scene. Sound effects add impact and texture, turning quiet panels into tense ones and action panels into explosive ones. When lettering is done well, it disappears into the storytelling. When it's done poorly, it disrupts everything. Once the lettering is complete, the comic is almost ready for release. All that remains is the final stage, preparing the pages for print or digital publication, where everything is checked, polished, and assembled into a finished book. Before a comic goes to print, it passes through one last round of scrutiny. Editors review continuity to make sure characters, plot points, and dialogue stay consistent from page to page. Art directors check visual consistency, proportions, designs, effects, and overall presentation. Any remaining errors, from typos to misaligned panels, get corrected here. This stage is the final line of defense before the world sees the work. Big studios take this step seriously, protecting quality with multiple layers of approval to ensure the finished book meets their standards. Once every page is cleared, the comic is officially ready for production and release. Big studios don't rely on one genius. They rely on a pipeline, a system, a rhythm. And now you know that rhythm. If you're making comics alone, don't feel discouraged. You're doing the work of entire teams. But you're also learning every skill they've mastered. Every creator you admire walked this path. And now you know the roadmap. If you're making comics alone, remember, you're doing the work of an entire team. And that's pretty cool. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to dive deeper into comic books, publishing, or just discover some great stories, head over to simplebutcomplex.com. You can stay in the loop with everything we're building, and when you sign up, we'll even send you a free starter kit to kick off your own creative journey. See you later!